Companies Act Section 54, Issue of Sweat Equity Shares. 1. Introduction. Section 54 of the Companies Act allows companies to issue sweat equity shares, providing an exception to the general prohibition on issuing shares at a discount outlined in Section 53. Sweat equity shares are issued to reward employees, directors, or other individuals for their contribution to the company, particularly for providing expertise, intellectual property, or other intangible value. This section outlines the specific conditions under which a company can issue sweat equity shares, ensuring transparency and compliance with regulatory guidelines. 2. Meaning of sweat equity shares. Sweat equity shares refer to equity shares issued by a company to its employees or directors at a discount or for consideration other than cash, such as intellectual property rights, know-how, or other intangible assets. These shares are intended to reward individuals for their commitment, efforts, and contribution to the company's success. 3. Conditions for issuing sweat equity shares, subsection 1. A company can issue sweat equity shares of an already issued class if the following conditions are met. A. Authorization by special resolution. The company must obtain the approval of its shareholders through a special resolution. A special resolution requires a 3/4 majority vote in favor of the motion at a general meeting of the company's members. This ensures that the issuance of sweat equity shares is done with the consent and knowledge of the shareholders. B. Details specified in the resolution. The special resolution must clearly specify the key terms of the sweat equity share issue, including number of shares to be issued, current market price of the shares, consideration, if any, to be paid for the shares, class or classes of employees or directors to whom the shares will be issued. By specifying these details, the company ensures that the process is transparent and that the shareholders understand the nature and purpose of the issue. C. Compliance with regulations for listed companies. If the company's equity shares are listed on a recognized stock exchange, the issuance of sweat equity shares must comply with the regulations issued by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI. These regulations govern the process to protect investors and maintain market integrity. D. Compliance with prescribed rules for unlisted companies. For companies that are not listed on any stock exchange, the issuance of sweat equity shares must adhere to the rules prescribed under the Companies Act. These rules ensure that even unlisted companies follow a structured process to issue such shares. 4. Equal rights and pari passu status, subsection 2. Sweat equity shares issued under this section enjoy the same rights, limitations, restrictions, and privileges as other equity shares issued by the company. This means that the holders of sweat equity shares will have voting rights, dividend entitlements, and ownership rights just like other shareholders, and the shares will be treated pari passu with ordinary equity shares. Pari passu means that all shareholders, including those holding sweat equity shares, will be treated equally in terms of voting power, dividend distribution, and claims on company assets in the event of liquidation. This ensures fairness and avoids the creation of different classes of shareholders with conflicting interests. 5. Importance of sweat equity shares. The provision for issuing sweat equity shares serves several important purposes. Reward for expertise and effort. Sweat equity shares provide an incentive for employees or directors who have contributed significantly to the company's growth through their expertise, skills, or intellectual property. Retention of talent. Companies use sweat equity shares to retain key employees or directors by offering them a stake in the company's future profits and success. Cash-free compensation. In situations where companies may face cash flow constraints, sweat equity shares offer a way to compensate individuals without affecting liquidity. Alignment of interests. By offering equity ownership, The company aligns the interests of employees and directors with those of shareholders, encouraging long-term commitment to the company's goals. 6. Regulatory safeguards. The requirement for special resolutions and compliance with SEBI regulations or Companies Act rules ensures that sweat equity shares are issued transparently and responsibly. These safeguards prevent companies from abusing the provision and ensure that the interests of shareholders and other stakeholders are protected.